Today on Unity Motorsports Garage, we're going to take a look back at one of the most unique combinations to ever run in NASCAR. Mario Rossi's 69 Dodge Daytona powered by a 305 cubic inch small block Mopar. To get a better understanding of this, we need to take a look back at the history of what caused this combination to actually take place to start with. Speeds were increasing every year on the racetrack. This led to some intense competition between Ford and Mopar.
Another notable achievement in motor racing that occurred this week. This was Buddy Baker, a top NASCAR stock car driver, on Tuesday of this week at the new 2.66-mile Alabama International Speedway in Talladega, Alabama. During runs conducted for transmission testing, Buddy became the first man in history to break the 200-mile-per-hour barrier on a closed race course, and you're watching him do it here in his winged Dodge stock racing car. At full speed right now, flat out at Talladega. The Talladega is an ultra-fast track, the fastest in the world, as a matter of fact, and on this run, Baker averaged 200.096 miles an hour. And incidentally, ABC will be televising the Alabama 500 from Talladega live on Sunday, April 12th, with the local area down there blacked out, of course. Out of turn 3 and on the high banking going into turn 4. Part of the reason for the high speeds at Talladega, of course, is the exceptionally high banking, which is 33 degrees. Buddy Baker achieved this awesome lap after several warm-up tours of the course, and afterwards he came back out again and did even better, 200.447, and there he is in the home stretch.
1970 would be the pinnacle year for the Aero wars in NASCAR. With Ford and Mopar duking it out on the Superspeedways, Bill France Jr. decided to try to put an end to this. First, he did it by adding a restrictor plate to the current engines that was being used. As you can see here in this picture, 1970 Michigan 400 was the first appearance of a restrictor plate on a NASCAR stock car. He decided to push the rules even further in 1971 by eliminating the Daytona and Superbird unless you ran a 305 cubic inch engine. With Richard Petty and the other factory team drivers of the Chrysler and Plymouth brands feeling that this was too much to overcome, running a 305 cubic inch engine against all of the big blocks of the day, even with the Superbird and Daytona's slippery body, they felt like that it was for naught. Mario Rossi was a bit of an outsider in the NASCAR community, as he was an independent car owner and wasn't factory backed by Chrysler. He decided to one-up NASCAR and run the Dodge Daytona combination with the 305 cubic inch engine rule, thinking that the car's aerodynamics could overcome the lack of horsepower from the smaller engine. To do this, he teamed up with none other than Keith Black of Keith Black Racing Engines. You see, in Trans Am, he developed a 305 cubic inch engine for the AAR Cudas and the TA Challengers to compete. By using a 340 cubic inch engine, he destroked it to a 2.96 inch stroke to come up with the magic 305 cubic inches. These engines produced anywhere from 450 to 475 horsepower. Mario thought that that would be enough power with the aerodynamic advantage of the Dodge Daytona in order to compete on NASCAR's highest level. Let's take a look back and see how history was made with this car.
It's time to mount up. Bobby Isaac climbing into his number 71. A.J. Foyt, the pole sitter. Inside on row 1 into a 69 Mercury. Leroy Yarborough, 1969 Super Speedway King. Fred Lorenzen, another hotshot on the Super Speedways, coming back. Richard Brooks, who'll be driving the only winged car on the track. We'll define that for you a little later. CALE Yarborough, rather deep in the field, back in the 7th row. And now Bill France, president of Daytona International Speedway, ready to start him. Defending champion here at Daytona in the 500, Pete Hamilton right there. And they're ready to move out behind the pace car. It's expected to be one of the most competitive 500s that we've had in some time because you have the unusual factor of a race car with a governor on it, Chris Economaki.
That's right, Keith. Only one car in the 40-car field has not a carburetor restrictor plate. Richard Brooks in the wing Dodge, he's got a tiny little engine. The speeds are down from past years. The fans don't seem to mind because the field is bunched. A close, hard-fought race is looked for. Nose to tail, 9 cars, Keith. Anyone could lead in a moment.
Here comes Bobby Isaac moving up on the inside. And Buddy Baker hanging on to his bumper. So it's Isaac, Baker. Donnie Allison moves up.
And the wing car shows for the first time in the top 4. Richard Brooks with that little 305-inch engine Dodge, the slope-nose winged car, the engine penalty not being too difficult. And here's Brooks now up into second place, and the fans are rooting for this little car they call a mini motor. Goes down underneath and takes the lead, and is everybody yelling now?
Bobby Isaac trying to fight him off, and here comes Baker. And Donnie Allison. Allison, number 27, in the Mercury. Fourth. We're back here at Daytona International Speedway, the 13th running of the Daytona 500, and can you believe what we've already seen? We've had 9-car drafting, we've had 5-car drafting, and the field is still tightly bunched. So let's pick up the action at the Daytona 500.
Bobby Isaac is leading, Keith, but it's been a tremendous competition. There have been 26 individual exchanges of the lead among 10 drivers. The speed after 3 yellow flags is down to 135 miles an hour, but the pace out there is better than 178. And there's still 7 drivers close together, any one of whom can take the lead at will.
The red car, number 71, is Bobby Isaac, who was the Grand National Champion last season. In second place, Buddy Baker, the white car, number 11. They string out a little bit at this point, but watch them now. They'll close it up as they work into the turns. A.J. Foyt, who has been somewhat out of the picture for the last few minutes, has suddenly, in car number 21, jumped back into the battle for the lead. Foyt now has moved up into 3rd position, and he will probably momentarily challenge Baker. Look how close they are, and he's running right along with Baker in the fight for 2nd place.
That's been the story of this race. Look at this traffic in the wing car. The little 305 Dodge is staying right there. He's been in front a couple of times and is holding his own very well, but he is forced to draft, Keith. He cannot do it alone.
Apparently he is going to come in. He is slowed way down, but in the meantime, out on the track, look at this grouping.
When Isaac dropped out, it just gave the other drivers that much more room in which to operate. Oh, look how close they're going. And here's Isaac, headed for the pits. He's got problems, Keith. We'll have to check and see just what it is that's bothering him.
It's expensive for him because he's having to pit on the green. Everybody out on that track really flying right now.
It's a flat left front tire. He apparently cut a tire on some debris, and they're taking the stuff out from the radiator. Some of the drivers have had overheated engines today because of litter being scooped up onto the radiator.
Here's the mini motor, Richard Brooks, now up there battling for 1st place.
Remarkable combination of car and driver doing a fine job at A.J. Oh!
That's Brooks and Hamilton.
Wow, A.J. Foyt went by Brooks on the inside, so close that the draft upset the traction of the number 22. He bobbled. Hamilton was so close that he tapped him, and now they're both proceeding slowly around the track with damage to their cars. Not bad, however, and the Porsche pace car goes out as the yellow light blinks on one more time.
Hamilton, as you can see, has extensive damage on his right front of his car where he made contact with Brooks, but I thought, Chris, it was a remarkable piece of driving on the part of both these young men to maintain control of their vehicle.
And that was an 177-mile-an-hour fender bending incident, and both continued around. Brooks's car will probably have to have some tires put on. He flat spotted them probably in the spin. And look at the right front corner of Hamilton's car here. That's trouble.
They've got the torch out, so apparently they're going to have to do some cutting to get that fender off the tires. So here they come. They'll light the torch, and obviously it's going to be an expensive stop right here for Hamilton, even though the caution is out.
But you know, Keith, that's going to upset the aerodynamic characteristics of the car. He will not be able to run as fast without a fender as he could with a fender if he gets back in the race.
A.J. Foyt hits the pit, so most of your leaders are coming in. Now here comes Brooks. Let's take a look at his car and see how much damage he sustained in that bumping incident. He's damaged on the left side, so again it becomes a question of whether or not the aerodynamics will be affected, but both cars will continue to run. We'll be back in a moment.
With that wreck, Richard Brooks' chances of winning the Daytona 500 was over. Even after the wreck, he did manage a 7th place finish, which is pretty impressive considering what he was running with. If you will notice in the film, he did not receive a lot of drafting help. It almost makes you wonder if there was some corporate plays going on behind the scenes to try to keep him from winning that race. Because think about it. If a 305 cubic inch engine went out there in this car and destroyed the big blocks, what would that do for corporate image? I hope you've enjoyed this film that I put together. It was a lot of fun for me, and I hope you got something from it. So until next time, this is Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage. I will catch you later.